It was all a series of expansion of consciousness as I spiritually matured into my own light and awareness. From one stage to the other, my mind gave way and my consciousness expanded from dhyan to vitarka samadhi. Then when the vitark fell off, my atma expanded more into vichar samadhi. There has been a lot of misunderstanding in India and abroad about the Sanatan Dharma, as it is rightly called. And later, it came to be specifically known as the Vedic Varnashram Dharma. People out of ignorance, they say that India has what is called Jativad. Their religion is based on Jati. For the Sanatan Jwala to awaken and the Jagat Chakra Nishchal to awaken, Sanatan Jwala लय में है और जगत चक्र निश्चल जागेगी सृष्टि जब पिएंगे शंभु हलाहल. The world cycle will begin only when the Lord drinks the poisons of the world. आनन्दमानन्दकरप्रसन्नं ज्ञानस्वरूपं निजबोधरूपं योगेन्द्रमिडियं भवरोग्यवैद्यं श्रीमद्गुरुं नित्यं महं भजामि. Om.
Namaste. Welcome to Sangam Talks. I have with me Yogiraj Gurunath Siddhanath at the beautiful his forest ashram today, and we are recording from the ashram. So we'll start off with your childhood. I think I really want to find out you as Siddhoji Rao. How were you as a little boy? I read a little brief history, but would be nice to hear it from your mouth about how you were.
I was a very mischievous and a rowdy boy, and my parents had a handful controlling me. I was so full of energy and livelihood that later I had to be brought as I grew up under a stricter discipline. But as a child, I was very playful and very spontaneous. And the influence of my grandfather was a lot on me, because I used to be with him more and sleep with him and be with him as a small child from 5 to 8 to 10. And I used to see him go every morning for his puja in front of the Surya. The sun used to come up in the morning and he used to sit in lotus posture. He was a lean person, very Spartan discipline. And I had my little asan beside him, and I used to look at him, and he used to be doing the Ehi Surya and Aditya Ridhayam. And as I looked at him, I used to emulate him, and I learnt the mantras and meditation from him.
Oh, that was your first initiation.
And then he used to bring out a golden box, small golden trinket. In that he had a cabochon ruby. He used to take this ruby and look at the Surya, and used to put the ruby in his eyes and rub it round and round this eye and round this eye. And the ruby had the luster, his eyes used to shine like the sun. He used to put the ruby in the trinket box. I was hoping someday I would get that ruby and would able to do this. But fortunately, the ruby didn't come to me when I grew up. He gave me a Rudrakshamala, knowing what I was, to be a yogi.
So he knew?
He knew that because the astrologers used to come to him.
Okay.
And they used to predict that this child is like this, he will be a great yogi. And he will be known all throughout the world. and everyone will accept him as not only a guru but also a Sadguru. But the family members will accept him the last, as is the case which is happening. My grandfather himself, being a man of great yoga and tap, he himself had an intuition that I was to be a yogi. I used to sit in lotus posture with him. Besides that, he was very fond of astronomy and astrology. My grandfathers from both sides, Barrister Ramrao Deshmukh he had his barristery from London. My mother's father and my father's father were both interested in astronomy, astrology also.
So this is a royal family lineage.
This is the
Talk a little bit about that.
royal family. You see, we are noblemen from Gwalior, to put it in simple words. But my grandfather, great-grandfather, had married the daughter of Mahaji Scindia. That's the direct royalty. And her name was Gunwanta Raje, my great-grandmother's name. She passed away early. And so my grandfather, he went to stay in the palace itself because Gunwanta Raje was the sister of the late Madhurao Scindia, the late Madhurao Scindia. And the Chinko Raja, Maharani Sahib, the Honorable Maharani and wife of the late Madhurao Scindia, she looked after my grandfather as her own son. She was like a mother to him. So we had very deep connections with the palace and so on and so forth. And
you were a bodybuilder also.
I
heard.
Yes, I used to. Of course, I can't show you my body now. There's a picture of that.
Earlier pictures.
But I developed a body because to channelize while I was doing bodybuilding, I was also in deep meditation.
You were.
But my energy was so overwhelming that I have found it difficult to sit still. The metabolic threshold was high. Before I did a lot of weights and running and jogging. When I calmed down, then the body quietened and I was able to go into my states of dhyan, dharana and samadhi. Initial stages of samadhi I had from a young age also.
When did you discover for yourself that you were special? You had yogic or a leaning towards spirituality. When was the first time?
I never knew that I was special. I never thought that I was special because for me, which you think to be a special state, was a very ordinary state.
Normal state.
Like for other people, they may think that if I go into Sabikalp or Nirvikalp Samadhi, it's a special state. For them, it's a special state. But I was not aware because Nirvikalp Samadhi for me was my normal state. So I never thought myself to be special. I always thought I was ordinary, and I thought other people also used to get the states of Samadhi. Because I never investigated or inquired into their state of mind. But then people started recognizing me and coming to me as I grew along the passage of time. And I went into my teens. I went into a lot of sports and gymnastics and swimming. But all along, the undercurrent was always meditation.
Was this also before you had your darshan of your guru?
Yes.
Mahavatar Babaji? Also
Yes.
before that also?
Yes. Because my first memories which I had of myself is what at the age of 1, where I made my first effort to put my hands on the sofa and stand up. And it was such a Herculean effort. It was like lifting up 200 to 300 pounds weight. So I remember that effort I made. But if I look back deeper, it is quite strange to say this on a public forum, but I also remembered myself curled up in the womb of my mother. I had remembered that And now as I grew up, I also remember my past lives, which I do not divulge so easily because people are not prepared
I was just going to ask
for
you
these things. But I tell people, if you want to know who I am, meditate. If you want to know who I am deeper, go into deeper meditation and samadhi, and I will come to you as to who I am. That saves myself the embarrassment and getting the nomenclature of an egoistic person who thinks that he is something without proof, because there is no proof.
Of course.
Except you can validate it by your personal experience.
Ji.
So I tell my disciples and followers, if you want a personal experience, you go into meditation and samadhi, and I will appear to you. Whoever I may appear to you as, that I am to you.
But it's also still very curious to know if you remembered all your past lives and at what point.
I remember my past lives, but I am hesitant and do not say it because the works and the spiritual work that was done in the past life, in my past lives, is way much more than what I have done this life publicly on the material sphere. On the spiritual and terrestrial sphere, I have helped many people, cured them of their ailments, overturned decisions, brought whole societies to a favorable situation of interaction, all these things. But neither do I want the praise for it, neither do I want to prove to anyone. I just know that I'm doing this silent work at the behest of Mahadev. That's it.
Okay, tell us about your first meeting with your guru at 16, Babaji, Mahavatar Babaji. What happened? Can you share? Would you be okay to share?
Mahavatar Babaji is too deep a subject to share on, but he always tells me what he told me. He said, my son, the more you depend on me, the more dependable I become. So I tell my disciples, I repeat the same thing which the Supreme Mahavatar said. I tell my disciples, the more you depend upon me, the more dependable I will become. And I am to you that which you think me to be, that I am to thee. Suppose one disciple says, many of my disciples have discussions when I'm not here, at their own places, at little restaurants, because my disciples are all spiritual minded and they love to compare things, because the nature of human mind is to compare. So some disciples say, Are, Gurunath he is a guru because he is only a teacher. Some people say that he is a Sadguru. So to those who think me to be a guru, I give them the results of a guru. Those who think me to be a friend, I give them the results of a friend. Those who think me to be a guru, I give them the results of the guru. And those who think me to be the Sadguru, I give them the results of the Sadguru. That is, take them to moksha. But I always quote one of our Indian famous poets, यौवन के उल्लड़ वेगों में पथ भूल न जाना पथिक कवि. यौवन के उल्लड़ वेगों में पथ भूल न जाना पथिक कवि. So a very famous poet has said this. I don't recall his name. Sumitranandan Pant. It could be, yes. That is and it's a very, very famous poem. But people tend to get diverted to other gurus, to other ashrams, to other places. Maybe because they are passing through their own strata of their mind. So they need a change, a breather. Maybe I become too intense. They want a light. They want a picnic. And why not? Guru is here, they know. But still, They want to go to Kumbh Mela. Now they suggested, but I want to go with them also. So I'm also excited. So that is good to give your mind a change. It is good. And people, their experience of me speaks the whole story, because I give them 3 basic qualities which a Sadguru should have: Shaktipat, Pranapat, and Shivapat. Pranapat and Shivapat, I have coined the words. Shaktipat is the spiritual transmission of the Kundalini energy to heal and cure the ailments of the disciples. That which is obstructing their sadhana, those obstacles are removed by Shaktipat. And their own negativity is thrown out. It is a cathartic process. Pranapat is what I give. Is if there are 5,000 people in front of me, I will make the sound hop. In that sound, I will transfer my Chaitanya Pran into their Prano Shwas. I will transfer my Atma into their breath, and they will start breathing automatically. Everybody here practically who has experienced the breathing through the breath, raise your hands. Here is the results. They do not, and then I tell them, leave your breath, and my breath is breathing through them. According to the great philosopher and Tantra Yogi and Master Abhinav Gupta, he says that the deeper part of Anugraha is when the Sadguru puts his Chaitanya Pran into the Prano Shwas of his disciple. That is known as Anugraha. And very few people are giving Anugraha. I am not going to speak about anybody else but myself, but this is the litmus test of a Sadguru, is he should be able to bestow the 3 virtues of Shaktipat, Pranapat, and Shivapat. Now Pranapat I have done with, now Shivapat is the 3rd. I give unto the people my state of Samadhi. I transfer my state, and I have also made a formula, you can call it, or it is an unwritten law. Here you must take the disciples to be mind, buddhi, and Guru to be Atma. So Atma and Buddhi. Consciousness is Atma, Buddhi is mind of the disciple. So I have made a principle. If any mind of the disciple is attuned to the Atmic consciousness of the Master, then that mind shall become that consciousness to the degree of its attunement to that consciousness. If any mind is attuned to an undifferentiated consciousness, that mind shall become that consciousness to the degree of its attunement with that consciousness. And this principle applies to anyone who tunes with me. His thoughts disappear. Like if you are looking at me, I am no mind. I don't have any thoughts. I am only Atma. So your thoughts will disappear and you will be in Atma. So what is Atma? How do you describe Atma? वहाँ क्या है? What is the state when you reach the Atmic state? वहाँ ध्यान न स्थान न नाद न बिंद. There is no place nor object. वहाँ ध्यान न स्थान न नाद न बिंद. आकाश नहीं वहाँ काल कहाँ. There is no space time continuum. सब शून्य अशून्य का हैपन है. ईश्वर भी निरंकार वहाँ. So this is what the Atmic state is. वहाँ ध्यान न स्थान न नाद न बिंद. आकाश नहीं वहाँ काल कहाँ. सब शून्य अशून्य का हैपन है. ईश्वर भी निरंकार वहाँ.
Was there a point in your adolescent life was there a moment when you became realized, or was it a sort of a continuous process? How was it?
There was no moment that I became realized. It was all a series of expansion of consciousness as I spiritually matured into my own light and awareness. From one stage to the other, my mind gave way and my consciousness expanded from dhyan to vitarka samadhi. Then when the vitark fell off, my atma expanded more into vichar samadhi. Then when my vichar gave way, my mind became boundless and went into ananda samadhi. And then when my personal ego dissolved in that anand, ki main hi main hu, then my consciousness expanded further into the state of sarvikalpa samadhi. But still there was a thin film which was surrounding the sarvikalpa samadhi. And that film was the film of not the individual ego, which is I amness, but pure I-ness, which is the cosmic ego. I am in the birds, the flowers, the trees. I am breathing through all the breath. I am beating through all hearts. And I am in all the atmas. The whole creation is me. And I am one with creation. This is the state of the Prakriti Laya Purush. Prakriti Laya Purush is perfected Sabikalp Samadhi. He has got the penultimate moksha. Now these are state of enlightenment. But he has to get to a further state of enlightenment from Sampradnyat Samadhi to Asampradnyat Samadhi, the knowledge of perfection to the knowledge beyond perfection. Sampradnyat Samadhi is Sabikalp Samadhi. Asampradnyat Samadhi is Nirvikalp Samadhi. And when that thin film, ki aham brahmasmi, sarvaje ahete meets ahe, all that there is me. All these people are sitting is me. It still has got a pure I-ness. When that thin film of all that is there is me, Satchidanand, when that goes away, then you go into the final.
Okay.
सब शून्य अशून्य का हैपन है, ईश्वर भी निरंकार वहाँ. That is the final state. So that state we don't go in because we have some work here. The Vibhuti Purush or Avtarik Purush always stays at the bridge between Sabikalp and Nirvikalp Samadhi. That bridge is called Dharma Samadhi, where you have a choice into go into final Parabrahma or you come back out of Karuna and compassion to serve humanity as your larger self. And all the Avtaric beings and all the Vibhutis, they are all staying in this Dharma Samadhi. They tensa rahata ghar hai. That is their residence. Because if they go in to the supreme state of Nirvikalp, then they cannot return. It's beyond the escape velocity, the spiritual escape velocity. They've gone beyond into the great Parabrahma. So avatars stay in this state. But my only mystery was, which I was thinking, that the avatars stay on the bridge between the land of no return and the deciding factor of return, Sabikalp Samadhi and Nirvikalp Dharma. The avatar stays there, Vibhuti stayed there, the prophets stay. What about Mahavatar Babaji? Mahavatar Babaji is gone beyond that. So can you imagine the tremendous amount of gravity and universal power that has to be collected, integrated for a being like the Mahavatar to come back into incarnation here? Then also he is finding it very difficult because his physical body is your Atma, is Nirvikalp Samadhi. That is the state. The great being I met was, it's too much to say, it's out of his grace that I was born. When I was a child, I did not know my birth till very recently. Recently, when I went to Gwalior to the temple, our Guru Maharaj के दरबार में वरदान पायो. Who is this Guru Maharaj? Because his blessings used to come into Hidaile Wala Raja Sahab. And there was one Badi Sawari and Choti Sawari. But they never said who is Guru Maharaj. Later on, I found out that the person whose blessings I was born through was a Nath Yogi called Hiraile Wale Raja Sahab or Guga Chauhan. His Guru, Guru Maharaj, who nobody knew was Shiv Goraksha Babaji, Mahavatar Babaji. And for 1 month before I was born, my mother was taking only the vibhuti of Shiv Goraksha Babaji, Babaji Maharaj, and orange squash, orange juice. She was drinking that. Then I was born. So I am directly connected to that great master. I have this work to serve humanity as my larger self. And this is what I am doing. And I always tell people, when people ask me, are you Christian? Are you Hindu? Do you follow a Hinduism? Have you learnt the Hindutva philosophy? Are you Islam? So I tell them one thing. Humanity is our uniting religion. Breath, our uniting prayer. And consciousness, our uniting God. This is the 11th commandment of Moses. Of course, I say that, but I had prepared this for the modern humanity. मानव जैसा धर्म नहीं, देह मंदिर जैसी शान, प्राण समान पूजा नहीं, स्वयं समान भगवान. This is what should be taught in all schools. Not Christianity, not Hinduism, not Islam. मानव जैसा धर्म नहीं, देह मंदिर जैसी शान, प्राण समान पूजा नहीं, स्वयं समान भगवान, प्राण समान पूजा नहीं, आत्मा समान भगवान. This is the policy. This is the truth of humanity.
In the sequence of creation, एक प्रश्न जो मुझे कई बारी बहुतों से पूछा, are the devatas real or are they simply energies which are part of the universe? Is there a Ganpati with a head of an elephant? Is there a Hanuman with features which are monkey-like? Or are they simply sort of imaginations of a devotee's mind, and they are simply energies? Both sides exist. There is a book, beautiful book by a great philosopher of our scientist philosopher, Subhash Kak, Dr. Subhash Kak, and he's written The Gods Within. And then there is when I've interviewed some tantrika, for them, deities, devatas are real, and you can access them in the world. So I've had this.
So let me answer your question, which you've said a bit of it, which is, this question needs to be tackled very properly and scientifically by our country, Bharatvarsh. This is a wonderful land of the highest of sciences and the most innocent and simple of storytelling. It is a wonderful land of great and lofty philosophies, which the deepest divers have to delve and dive deep, and also the shallows of philosophic stories where even a child can understand. It is made for everything. And the Devi Devtas have been brought in, but from the highest level of Sanatan, which we call Sanatan, because there was no other Dharma at that time, 5,000 to 10,000 years ago. So we didn't have to call it Dharma. It was just called eternal. but later it became known as Sanatan Dharma. Then it developed into a very scientific Dharma. It was called the Vedic Varna Ashram Dharma, not Jati Ashram Dharma. Varna are the spiritual aggregate of Tama, Raja and Sattva gun, which a person accumulates in himself. And when he radiates the luminosity of Sattva gun, which is the electron, he gives the Abha of the Brahman. If there's a mixture of Sattva gun and Rajogun, he gives the Abha of the Manu, Maharaja Manu, the king, the Kshatriya. If there's a mixture of Rajo and Tamogun, then he gives the vibration of the Vaishya, the person who does business and administration. If he has a conglomerate and correction of a majority of Tamogun, of neutrons and inertia, then he does more of the physical and menial work, like farming and kheti and cleaning up the place. So these are not things by birth, they are things by merit. And getting back to the energies, the cosmic being, it begins with the great void. After which, thousands of years before the Big Bang was discovered, we had in Sanatan Dharma called the Sphot theory.
Sphot, okay.
Where there was a compression of a subtle particle of purity from the great Parameshwar. That particle was smaller than the nucleus of an atom and contained, compressed within it, the whole world and creation. That smallest particle burst with an infinitesimal light and sound. And as the ripple effect happened in the waters of Akash and space and Mahakash, creation unfolded into being. This is the long and short of it. Now, we have symbolisms. These philosophies, like when there was creation and it was speeding slower and slower and slower, and the whole cosmic consciousness slowed down to the speed of light.
Okay.
That is at Mahashivratri. It slowed down, the consciousness Shiva slowed down to the speed of light. And then there was an optic boom. Light was born. So, Shiva, the first light is Uma. The first light was born. But light was still going so fast, it had to be slowed down. After eons of billions of years, that light became a photon, electron. When the electron came, the first particle after the quark and photon and neutrino, then the proton and neutron were born, and in this subatomic state lay for thousands of years incandescent vapors, and they formed the atom. The atom formed the molecule, and this is the building blocks of nature. There was a whole creation built around this phenomena, and then there were huge outgoing forces. So like for example, the Devi Devtas, you say, the first religion to believe that there is only one God, there is no other God but Him, that is Sanatan. Much before the other religions were not involved. Because Sanatan describes the finality as this. वहाँ ध्यान न स्थान न नाद न बिंद, आकाश नहीं वहाँ काल कहाँ, सब शून्य अशून्य का हैपन है, ईश्वर भी निरंकार वहाँ. There's not only not one, but he is beyond the one. Shunya ashunya ka happen. So they've gone beyond one God. So they were the one who believed beyond one God. They were the first to believe that there is only one God, and all the other energies in the universe are his energies and faculties personified as other gods.
Right.
So Sanatan Dharma was the first religion to believe that there is only one God, there is no other God but Him. And Sanatan Dharma was the first one to believe that there are 33 crore gods and even more and more and more, and nobody else before them believed this. So they touched both ends. They touched both the ends of the spectrum of one God, this thing, and the many gods, and you yourself are God. So all these three faculties came into it. So now in the cosmic form, there are many forms, you see. So
are there non-sentient beings without a body?
non-sentient beings.
Sentient beings, but without
I am
a
coming to
physical
that.
body.
In the whole universe, there is the centripetal force and the centrifugal force. Now, the centripetal force is the incoming force. Okay? The centripetal force is the outgoing force. So, the mother is asked by the child, ki, or the father, ki, Mama, Papa, what is this centripetal force and centrifugal force? Now, this lofty philosophy of Sanatan Dharma, ki when creation began, it came into the vortex and it went outward like a ripple effect also. So he said, Beta, there's the Supreme Ishwar who is beyond everyone with his Shakti. Now he uses his Shakti. From Shakti, there was born an energy which was outgoing and one was ingoing. So Shiva and Parvati had two sons. One was called Ganesh and the other was called Kartike. Oh, he had two sons. Yes, son, if I don't tell you in story form, you will not understand centripetal and centripetal force. So the mothers took the thing and the fathers. So Kartik, they said, okay, whoever will go around, Shiva and Parvati will get the Mahapunya. So Kartikeya went off on his peacock and they said, since Shiva and Parvati, the whole universe, he circled, he went outward and outward and outward and he circled the whole of creation. That is the outgoing energy, the centrifugal force of creation. And then getting everybody back, he brought them all to the parents. Ganesh was large in size. He, instead of going there, he turned around himself and went inward. He said, I am the centripetal force of creation which goes inside right into the supreme consciousness. So, they both got blessed because Kartikeya brought many disciples with him when he came back of creation. Ganesh showed the direction. So, by storytelling, they are telling the two sons, Kartikeya and Ganesh. One is representing the inner force. Kartikeya perambulates around his parents and sits. Kartikeya, oh, the outward going force is centrifugal. And the force which is going within itself is centripetal. That is how parents explain to their children how the scientific world worked. This is very, very important. Very, very important to understand, otherwise children will not understand. That's why the image. Now the image of Ganpati with a long trunk and this thing. It is a symbol for all sadhaks of Kriya Yoga. Ki if you take a long breath, you will live longer. You will live longer. This is a symbol which mothers used to tell us. Manun khol ani lam shwas gya. Why? Child will ask the mother, why? Mother will say, my son, how long does a giant tortoise live? 400 years. It is breathing about one breath per minute, or maybe one breath in 4 minutes. Yes. It is living slow breath. Yeah. How long does an elephant live? Over 100 years. That is also breathing 10 to 16 breaths per minute. How long does a human being live? 70 to 80 years. He is breathing 60 to 72 breaths, 60 to 80 breaths per minute. So the faster you are breathing, it has been observed that the person lives longer. Therefore, Ganpati is reminding you by his long trunk to take a longer breath of Kriya Yoga. That's why I'm saying, guys, from 10, go to 15 breath, 15 seconds up, 15 seconds down. Then go to Lahiri Baba's 22 seconds. Have you not heard me say that? So this is the symbol of the long trunk. You see, our religion is very scientific, but people are not able to explain that these have a scientific technique, and the Devi Devtas were brought in for a lesser evolved society so that we could explain them, we could accommodate the thermodynamics and the electromagnetism of the creation of universe into simple story form, giving simple energies, simple forms of God and goddesses, so the people could understand the intricate and the oldest philosophy of the world. This is the reason. There's another thing. Thermodynamics. Are thermo and dynamics. So one is heat, one is motion. Now thermo and dynamics, that is Shiva and Parvati. You have always seen that heat and velocity, they bring order to the universe. So what brings from the chaos? There are many galaxies and sports and stars. And what brings a harmony that the stars go around the planets? There are two things which bring harmony: heat and motion. Thermodynamics. Thermal is heat and dynamics is dynamic movement. So this thermodynamics. Now these are all projected in the forms of God and goddesses. Strength, power. You have Hanumanji with his strength and his power. So all these things, if you go deeply into them, I have not gone deeply, but I am giving you the hint, the direction that if you look deeply, every one of these deities, Indian deities, they have a scientific meaning behind them.
So they are not real, and would that be true for, I mean, they're not as the physical features that we give them. For example,
now
with
I
Shiva.
will come to the physical features that they will give them.
So is there a Shiva sitting in Kailash?
Yes, yes, there is and there is not. And here's the humble person who has had darshan of both the Shiva with the moon and the Chandra and the Trishul and the Tripund and the Nirguna and Nirakar. And the Nirgun Nirakar. And I've said it in one of my poems. I've mentioned Shiva in one of my poems as Nirgun Nirakar and as the Akar. I will relate to you that poem because I've had first hand experience. This is the Nirgun Nirakar of Shiva, the scientific one, which the Western philosophy has have not touched it, neither the religions, neither in Genesis nor anywhere else. Perhaps the Vedas. What was before creation? कालों का काल महाकाल, नो फॉर्म नो टाइम. कालों का काल महाकाल है अव्यक्त, पड़ा अपने स्वयंभू स्वरूप में विरक्त. न रात है न दिन है, न धूप है न साया, अगम अगोचर है सब, न ब्रह्म है न माया. This is Shiva in his Nirgun Nirakan form of pure consciousness. No name, no form, no time, no space, beyond the space-time continuum. Then comes the first form after Shiva, Vishnu. Sanatan Jwala लय में है और जगत चक्र निश्चल. Sanatan Jwala is Vishnu. Now, is a scientific person trying to convert it into the forms of children. So, Sanatan Jwala is the unending flame. Even that is sleeping in the bosom of the nothingness called Parabrahma, Param Shiva. Sanatan Jwala लय में है और जगत चक्र निश्चल. जग के सृष्टि का चक्र, the movement of the wheel of time is still. So Sanatan Jwala is Vishnu, Jagat Chakra is Brahma. So you have all these three. Now, for the Sanatan Jwala to awaken and the Jagat Chakra Nishchal to awaken, Sanatan Jwala लय में है और जगत चक्र निश्चल. जागेगी सृष्टि जब पिएंगे शंभु हलाहल. The world cycle will begin only when the Lord drinks the poisons of the world. That means the Lord Shiva with the crescent moon, the Lord Shiva with the blue Neelkant, when he drinks the poison. So here comes the Akar of Shiva. I have to give you the form. Otherwise, how would you know that the big Akash is drinking the poison of the Mahatattva, Mahavayu? You cannot conceive. It has to be Shiva drinking the poison, all the karmas, the bad karmas of creation. All the negativities for creation can come into being. So all these all these forms, the blue throat of Shiva, it means that the world cannot go around with sacrifice. They are important to understand that these figures, Saraswati, with her, the books of knowledge and this thing, sound, Vak. Then there's Durga, the destroyer of all negativity. So these are symbolic things. But when a person, each person is a conglomerate of electron, protons or neutrons. Is that scientifically sound or not? That means each person is a syndrome, a conglomerate of Tama, Raja and Sattva gun. Now, as according to his day-to-day activities and his likes and dislikes, some person may like to be, swimming every day. That becomes his Swadharma. Some people likes to do Durga Puja, Aarti every day. That is her Swadharma. One person likes to worship Mahadev. That is his Swadharma. One person likes to go to office regularly and says work is worship. That is his Swadharma. So as many people as there are on this earth, there are dharmas. 8 billion plus Swadharmas. And the Swadharmas, each one has his own individual Swadharma. So there's no such thing as Hinduism, Christianity, Islam. These are political nuances. They are just semantics. I don't want to talk in semantics. पाप है क्या और पुण्य है क्या, आज तक कोई भी ना जान सके. लोग स्वयं स्वार्थ पूर्ति अनुसार अपनी परिभाषा ठहराने लगे. कोई कृत्य पाप व पुण्य नहीं, मिथ्या का सारा खेल है ये. So when you go to the ultimate finality, your paap and punya is only in relativity. वो मेरे को ऐसा किया, मैं उसको ऐसा करूंगी. वो इसमें ऐसा किया, वैसा. अरे ऐसा तैसा छोड़ो, ऐसी की तैसी, ऐसा तैसा की. पाप और पुण्य को भस्म करो और सत्य के खोज में निकल पड़ो. Destroy both vice and virtue, because one are virtue are chains of gold, vice are chains of iron, but both are chains which keep you in bondage to Maya. Burn both the vice and virtue, both the gold and the iron chains, and set forth for the eternal truth, which is beyond all name and form. But in the beginning, the mind needs to rest on someone. Alambana chahiye. So my mind will rest on a murti of Krishna playing the flute. My mind will rest on Jesus on the cross. My mind will rest on Shiva in meditation. But ultimately, all those vibrations which form the image of Shiva and Durga and Ganesh, they are all the making of your mind.
Okay.
But just as your mind is real in relativity, it's a part of the cosmic mind. That cosmic mind, by regular repetition, okay, regular repetition. Regular repetition means ring rang raksha raksha go raksha ring rang raksha raksha go raksha ring rang raksha raksha go raksha goraksharagniyong 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 goraksharagniyong. I'm saying this mantra because somebody had that, I don't know who saw that figure of me on fire at the Californian fires. If you chant that mantra goraksharagniyong, a vibration of samskars, teleprinter will print your mind. Those samskars will aggregate to a tremendous amount. Goraksharagniyong, Goraksharagniyong. And one fine day, after 3 years of constant Goraksharagniyong, or even 3 months, or even after 21 days, Purushcharan, Anusandhan, you will see Gorakshan blazing in Agni standing before you, because your mind has repeated that again and again and again. That's why our Maharashtra saints always say that even if Shiva is a form which is Nirgun Nirakar, with no form, you can make an akar. You have to continuously pray. Rupa tujhe chitti raho, mukhi tujhe naam. Rupa tujhe chitti raho, mukhi tujhe naam. रूप तुझे चित्ते राहो. O Lord, let thy form ever be in my chitta, in my mind. Atma Buddhi Manas, let it be in my mind, and let thy name be on my lips. Mukhi tujhe naam. So when they, and the West saying, what are these Indians doing? They are muttering all the time. They couldn't understand. They have a bead and they are telling the bead. And what are they muttering? They used to first call it muttering. Then the West came to the East and they learnt and have become wise. They are muttering themselves. So आपको जो चाहिए, the so God is Nirgun Nirakar also without name and form, and God is also Sagun Sakar with name and form. The name and form is formed according to the individual effort of that person. What is his Ishta Devta? According to his Ishta and Aradhya Devta, that God will take the form in front of you. He will oblige you. If I can take a form from here and go to America and visit my disciples, why cannot the cosmic power, which is God?
Sure.
Ordinary people visit one another. They hear one another by telepathy. They see one another by clairvoyance. So how many of these people have seen me? They have seen. It's a fact accomplished. It's not. There's no need of false modesty. But a person who is integrated in himself, is true to himself, he cannot be false then to any other man. If I'm true to myself and they call me true, I have to appear. I must appear. This is the cosmic law. So God is Vyakta and Avyakta. He is seen in name and form of many types, and he is also, you can get lost in his wonders of the isness of the zero not zero. जो ईश्वर में खो जाता है वो हर क्षण अमर हो जाता है, न भूत भविष्य सताता है, वो हैपन मस्त हो जाता है. So these are some of the things which we are telling people, and not only do I tell them, I give them experiences also.
But I've always wondered, so we've had many philosophies or darshan in India, the Shat darshan, starting from Charvak, Mimamsa, Sankhya, right up to Vedant. And in that, then there is divisions of Vishisht, Dvaita, and so on and so forth. And there have been many masters endlessly who've come. For example, the Jain Tirthankars, with Mahavir being the last one. Buddha, Krishna, Mahavir, Guru Nanak, Ramakrishna Paramhans. There are different ideas of the divine which are propagated by them. For example, Buddha and Mahavir and Jainism and Buddhism does not even touch upon God. Jainism actually rejects the idea of God. Guru Nanak talks about Nirakar and does not delve into Devatas. Most of Sanatan is all about Devatas.
Who says Guru Nanak doesn't help? All the Guru Nanak's this thing is filled with Ram and Krishna.
Ji, of course, sorry.
And he prayed
myself.
to Shiva, and in his house Yogi Sri Chandra was born, who was a direct incarnation of Gorakhnath.
Sri Chand, Baba Sri Chand, yes. I correct myself, but that's the popular narrative these days, that among the six, for example, it's only Ek Omkar, and everything else that Guru Nanak did is rejected. So that's what stays in the mind. However, the question is that why do enlightened beings reach different conclusions of the universe, of the divine? Buddha, for example, doesn't want his disciples to touch upon God. Mahavir actually says there is no God, there is only Atma. Krishna, of course, says that I am the...
So Mahavir says there is no God, there is only Atma. Buddha says there is no only Atma. Somebody says there is Ram, somebody says there is Krishna. I say they are all right. My advice, not to those great people, but to you who get confused, don't get confused. Sit down, close your eyes, and do the sadhana your Sadguru has given you. All the talk, किताबें पढ़ पढ़ के किसी ने कोई कुछ नहीं जाना है. They are just pointers, unless you practice. Do you understand? Unless you practice, you will not get proficient. and you will pass through all these states of mind. This is relativity. As I told you, that as many people there are on this earth, that many dharmas. So you are thankful only 20 to 30 dharmas. There are not 8 billion dharmas, which there can be. But we are not to be distracted by anything in Maya or relativity. Relativity in Maya will keep making new forms and new things. Shatrupa, Shahastra Rupa, Maya Jal. So the best way to realize God is to practice the means to the end. This is important. This is what I feel. And they were all right. I'm just giving you an example, not connected to their states of realization, but just how such questions should be answered. For people like we do not understand that Mahavir, Buddha, Krishna, Ram were all saying the same thing. That's why we confuse it. We are like the blind person. 6 blind people are told to go and see the elephant. 6 blind people are told to go and see the elephant. One person says the elephant is like a trunk of a tree. One blind person says. Another person says the elephant is like a big snake, python. The other person says that the elephant is like a saber. He felt the tusk. He said like a bhala. Fellow felt the trunk. He said snoke. They are all right. They are all right, but partially right. So also, with all due respects to Mahavir, Buddha, Krishna, and Ram, they are all right. Not that they are partial. They are all right. But in the finality, you yourself have to find out what the ultimate state is. In Sagun Sakar, you will have darshan of Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati, Santoshi Mata, Parvati, Mahadev, Batuk Bhairav, Kal Bhairav, Virgin Mary, Our Lady of the Starry Vault, Anima Mundi, and you will have millions of. Why get confused in the Maya Jal? Maza Ishta Shankar hai, Maza Ishta Vishnu hai. I am a Vishnu, so I have this. These are all fragmented space-time events of the world, underlying which is the all-pervading consciousness of reality. You have to see that all. You see, जितने समुद्र में लहरें हैं उतने धर्म हैं. समुद्र के लहरें नहीं गिनना है, समुद्र में नीचे जाके देखना है कि समुद्र एक है. Just like in relativity, there are many religions like there are many waves of the ocean. That is relativity and Maya. But if you go deep into reality, there is only one ocean and one experience. So from Sagun Sakar of many gods and many religions, you have to go to Nirgun Nirakar of the one. That all-pervading consciousness of stillness through eternity, composed of nothing, yet of which all else is sure composed. It stands supreme, beyond all dreams, eternally reposed. शून्य शून्य का हैपन है, सब शून्य शून्य का हैपन है. So that is the difference. So do not confuse with the teachings. Acha, why are the different teachings given? Why are the different teachings given? The different teachings are given to different levels of human intellect. You see? So to one elect group, they are simple bhakt. So I will say, who is God? How do we meditate on God? Rupa tujhe chitti raho, mukhe tujhe naam. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. So in your group, along comes Ram, and Ram sits there. Now Vashishtha is saying, now, why has this fellow come in the middle of the chant? Ram says, Prabhu, tell me also. This is the answer to your question. Yeah. Some is saying Atma, nahi, he is a Buddhi, is this thing. तो मैं कहता हूँ कि भाई जिसके ये कहता है आत्मा, ये कहता है बुद्धि, ये कहता है शरीर, जिसकी आज की पहुंच शरीर तक है ना, तो आपका भगवान शरीर है. It's like this, that many religions and many cults and denominations preach different philosophies, different states of mind, different states of consciousness. They are all right. My answer for this is, some is saying that the body is God, after the body dies, the world disappears. You are right, because that is your state of realization. Each individual state of realization will depict and determine the type of God he worships. जिसकी पहुंच जहां तलक है, उसके लिए वही है तू. यदि कोई कहता है तू भगवान तू शरीर है, तो शरीर है. बुद्धि है तो बुद्धि है. आत्मा है तो आत्मा है. भगवान हनुमान जी है तो हनुमान जी है. भगवान शंकर है तो शंकर है. भगवान निर्गुण निराकार स्वरूप है तो निर्गुण निराकार है. So God accommodates himself to the limited understanding of man, like Babaji accommodates himself to the limited understanding of man. People come to me and they ask me about a certain philosophy and certain religion. I will give them such an explanation which they will understand. The other day, some people came to me, they said, what shall we do? We want to purify this place. And my wife also believes in that. So I told them, I said, to purify yourself and the place, do home, havan and yajna. So they started home, havan and yajna. But if I had told those people, do Kriya Yoga, the home, the yajna, the Pranapat yajna of the yogi, they would not understand. So I tell them, do that. Then another group of people came. They said, we are very interested in Kriya Yoga, but we want to know the efficacy of Kriya Yoga, that it is Havan. So I said, do your home Havan Yajna in the morning, and in the evening do your Kriya Yoga, both. And then some advanced people came. They said, tell us the true fire rite. I said, don't do home Havan Yajna, do only Pranapat Yajna. So when a child comes to me to learn philosophy and spirituality and about God, I tell him, you must keep a murti of Shiva and pray to him and ask that he gives you good buddhi, he makes you strong. When a more advanced student, an elder person comes to me, I tell him, pray to the murti and try to concentrate, on the murti without distracting your thoughts, only on vichar. And then when an advanced person comes, I'll tell him, look at the murti, forget your body and become one, samyam. So am I teaching different philosophies, or am I teaching step by steps to the same truth? And the advanced person comes, he is there, murti is there, they become one and he disappears. He and the murti disappears, that is nirvikalp samadhi. So is this stage, it is not difference in teaching which you are misunderstanding between Buddha and Mahavir and Krishna and Ram. It is step by step teachings. Once the Lord Jesus, the Christ, he went to the people of the village and they were very new. So he told them, children, pray to your Father who is in heaven. As he went along the paths of Galilee, he went to more advanced and educated people. He told them that when you meditate, I have been sent by the Lord to serve you. I am the vine and you are the branches. मी झाड आहे आणि तुम्ही फांद्या आहेत. That's a like advanced teaching, not pray to your Father in heaven. For the least simple people is Dvait teaching. Then you get to the Vishishta Dvait teaching. From Dvait, Vishishta Dvait, where Jesus said, I am the vine and ye are the branches. मैं वृक्ष हूँ और आप मेरी फांदी. And then he went to the most advanced to the Advait people, teaching of Advait Vedanta, Jesus the Christ said, me and my Father are one. So was there a contradiction in his teaching, or was he giving them the teaching which accommodated to their understanding?
The latter.
Is that very clear? Have you understood? So that's why let us not mix the philosophy of Mahavir and Buddha and Krishna and the Christian teachings. They are all, even Islam, they are all step-by-step teachings to the degree of the capacity of the holder. जिसकी पहुंच जहां तक है उसके लिए वही है तू, और जिसकी पहुंच जहां तक है उस हिसाब से ही हम आपको शिक्षा और दीक्षा देते हैं. So the ultimate finality is to grasp, just like all the colors of the rainbow are not contradictory to one another, so also all the teachings of the world teachers and avatars are not contradictory to one another, but blend into one another like the colors of the rainbows. Om Tat Sat.
Let's actually talk about, we left this in the middle, Varnashram.
Yes.
So is it by birth? For example, when I looked at my own Kundali, and it says Varna and whatever it says, is it, so I'm born, but I'm born to, a different set of mother and father who have a different set of Varna mentioned in their Kundali.
There has been a lot of misunderstanding in India and abroad about the Sanatan Dharma, as it is rightly called. And later, it came to be specifically known as the Vedic Varnashram Dharma. People, out of ignorance, they say that India has what is called Jativad. Their religion is based on Jati. So let me first correct you. It is not based on Jati. Jati is by birth, and Varna is by your merits as to who you are spiritually. The Vedic Varna Ashram Dharma, it is not Vedic Jati Ashram Dharma. In the Vedic Varna Ashram Dharma, we have an organized society, and in the society, some people are attuned to and have their calling to be farmers. They could be categorized as the Shudra Varna, where you do the manual labor. Some people have their vocation and calling to business. They like business acumen. They like to do, the deals properly. They are known as the Vaishya Varna, not Vaishya Jati. There's no Jati in this. There's no by birth religion. According to one's calling and temperament, it's a temperamental thing. Then some people like to enter into the administrative role of politics and CEOs and big administrators and kings. They are known as the Kshatriya Varna. And the fourth is people like to do good deeds to others and meditate and go into states, superconscious states of Samadhi. A few of them, they are known as the Brahman Varna. Now let me tell you how these Varnas start and what is the meaning of Varna. The Varna originates from the gunas. From the gunas are created the Dharma. From Dharma is created a karma, and from karma is created your Varna, your vocation, according to your Varna. Now gunas are permeating the whole of creation. Sattva gun of luminosity, which is the electron. Rajogun of activity, which is the proton, pranic. and the tamogun of inertia, which is the neutron. All human beings are composed of these three subatomic particles of electron, protons and neutrons, whose attributes are Tama, Raja and Sattva. Clear? Now, some people go into the forests and go deep into meditation. By their past gunas, they are predominantly luminosity in their nature of Sattva gun, the electron, and they tend to keep meditating long hours, learning the scriptures, studying the shastras, teaching small gurukuls. Those type of people who have the temperament for meditation and spiritual learning are categorized temperamentally into the Brahman Varna. There are other people who, due to their past sanskars or their present effort and purusharth, who like to administer, organize societies, be rulers, be kings, be people of great power. They have predominantly in them what is called the Rajogun, Rajas, which is the proton. Proton has a lot of prana in it, it has Rajogun in it. It is a predominant. So those people who aggregate the molecules of protons and the administrative and ruler qualities, they become the kings. The first are the Brahmins of the teaching class and Samadhi class, then are the kings of the ruling class. Those kings also having a lot of Sattva gun can do meditation and can upgrade into the Brahman conglomeration of Sattva gun. So it's all how many gunas, how many the proportion of electrons, protons and neutrons which an individual has in his physical, emotional and mental makeup determine whether he is a Shudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya or a Brahman. It has nothing got to do with birth and jati. That's why we have called our Dharma. And let us get clear of this misunderstanding, this wrong notion that India is the Jativad. It is the most scientific religion, the most Sanatan religion in the world. And those who are used to the business style, they have a mixture of a little bit of tamogun, more rajogun, and a little bit of sattvagun. They are the businessmen, great businessmen who become rich and millionaires and dealers and all these saudagars, traders. And then as the last one, they like physical work and makeup. They have a lot of inertia in them, but a lot of powerful rajas and a little bit of tamas. There's a mixture of all the gunas in everyone. So he becomes the menial labor, the Shudra. Shudra is not a bad thing. It is like a person tilling the fields, doing the farm, sweeping the floor, cleaning the house. Nothing wrong with it. I myself do Shudra work. Each portion of the day, they say that you should be a Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. In the morning, you should be a Brahman and do your meditation and tapa. And then in the later morning, you should be the Kshatriya dominating. In the afternoon, you should be the Shudra doing your business and office works. And in the night, you should clean up and tidy up your house and then go to rest. So this is a misunderstanding now. If you take some examples of people, let us take an example. Let us take the great Indian lady saint, the Rajrani Meera. Meera was Kshatriya Jati. She was born in a Kshatriya family, but her activity is Brahman Dharma. Kshatriya Jati, Brahman Varna. Your Dharma is your Varna. Ravan, great warrior, born in a Brahman family. Brahman Jati, Kshatriya Dharma. Lord Prabhu Ram, Kshatriya Jati, Kshatriya Dharma, Brahman Dharma. So there are all these things. We are mixing up the birth issue with the issue of conglomerate of the proportion of electron, protons and neutrons which we have. And the purpose of man's sojourn on this earth, the purpose of Vedic Varna Ashram Dharma is the alchemy of total transformation, where they transform the tamogun into rajogun, the rajogun of protons into the sattva gun of electrons. And then at the end of life, you should be all a blazing light of electrons. A blazing light of electrons. And that's why the Guru always tells the disciple in his teaching in the Yogshalas, I am the sun, you are my ray, you must become the whole. By ceaseless Kriya practice, I, your spirit, shall unfold. The ray become the blazing sun, yourself as me behold. So this is the ultimate teacher of the Sadguru to the disciple, called the alchemy of total transformation. And here I have hope I have sufficiently cleared this, because our politicians, due to ignorant, they say Manuvad, Manu, they don't even know who's Manu. Manu is a fully realized king, like Raja Manu, Raja Satyavrat, Raja Harishchandra, Prabhu Ramchandra, Ikshavaku Ram. They are lofty beings of great realization. They were the rulers. So they were all Brahman Varna. So I hope I've cleared this misunderstanding. And these other words came much later. Hindu, Hinduism, Hindutva. It all means, you see, the Greeks could not pronounce the words. Like the Ethiopians cannot pronounce Ba. So instead of the house of Shiva, they say the house of Shiva in Ethiopia. The Greeks could not pronounce Sa. So instead of the river Sindhu, they said Hindu. So those people living this side of the Sindh river, the Sindhu river, are called Sindhus, according to the Greeks. But that's not our true word. So instead of Sindhu, they pronounced it Hindu. And then they made Hindu, Hindutva. So these are all semantics and nuances. But the real thing, the Dharma of Bharatvarsh, you see, Bharatakhande is Sanatan. And later, scientific known as the Vedic Varnashram Dharma, which I have explained, it's according to the Varna. It is according to the scientific makeup, your physical, emotional and temperamental makeup. Naturally, if you have more electrons and luminosity in your mind, you will go to meditation and God. If you have more tamogun in your mind, you will go to stale food and sleeping and thieving or doing menial work. So this has to be cleared. Sanatan Dharma and the Vedic Varna Ashram Dharma is very, very scientific. And by repetitive action, Satat Abhyas and Vairagya, you can transform the Tamogun into Rajogun and Rajogun into Sattva gun or electrons. And then ultimately, you can transform the electrons to the light, the particle into the wave of light. And then you can transform your light according to Adi Shankaracharya and the Advaita Vedanta. You can transform light into enlightened light, which we all know as consciousness. Om Namah Shivaya.